Hey guys, so what you're going to see here in this video is a kind of novice BatRep for X-Wing. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to finish the whole thing, so what you're going to see is in two parts. The first is the setup, the second is the actual battle report. So you should already know the basic mechanics, which you could learn from the videos from Fantasy Flight, which are really excellent to learn. I learned from Hugo, so that really helped me out, having someone there to teach me. But before you watch this video, if you don't know anything about X-Wing, go check out their beginning tutorials. Video tutorials. Links are at the bottom if you don't know where to get them. So here we go.
Yeah, so we're going to do kind of an intro game. We're going to do 50 points, basically 4 TIE Fighters versus 2 X-Wings. So it's a little bit bigger than the expansion pack, or the core set. So if you have 2 core sets, you can run this game. The idea is once you get your foot in for X-Wing, then this is kind of a small stepping stone up to the standard 100-point missions, which are the standard tournament sizes.
Right. So we're going to talk a little more strategy, especially with the asteroid.
Right, and then I'll mention some of the small strategies, which, just a little bit of asteroid placement, how you fly in formation, focus firing, just some basics.
Okay.
Some basic strategies that I see people miss.
Okay, great. So here we go.
So we're going to go and start the game. So first we're going to do figuring out the initiative. We're going to approach it like a tournament game. We both have 50 points. So normally Imperials would get the initiative for a standard game, but for tournaments they don't want to make that discussion. So we'll just go either roll off on red dice, whoever gets the highest wins, or if you have a coin, you can flip a coin. In this game it's not going to matter too much, but it's good to go ahead and just do it every time to get in the rhythm. So then whoever has the initiative then gets to place the first asteroid. And then we'll each get to place 3, and that is pretty much the terrain for the map. And it does matter because bad asteroid placement can screw you over. So for placing asteroids, you have to stay outside range 2, so the perimeter of the map pretty much has to be open. And then no asteroid can be within 1 distance of each other.
Okay.
So they have to stay outside 1. So generally it's in the square. So first we roll off to determine who places the first one. So I got a blank, you got a hit, so you beat me.
Okay.
So you get the first one. So for asteroid placement, basic strategy that I have is mainly as Imperials, I tend to run more TIEs or more fighters. So if you have more ships, typically you'd prefer to have no asteroids whatsoever. So if that's the case, usually what I like to do is start asteroids in my side towards the back, because usually Imperials tend to be more aggressive and rush, whereas Rebels are slower and they tend to stay back and pew-pew. So what I like to do is put as many asteroids as I can towards my side. And then I already know once I fly past them, I don't have to worry about them anymore. Whereas usually for the other side, if you only have 2 ships and you're not moving very fast, you kind of want to add asteroids around, because then you can fly through them. And then if you have a whole bunch of TIEs, they're going to have to either bottleneck and run into each other, or they're going to start landing on asteroids. So it's nice if you want to try to keep asteroids on your side in the middle, and I want to keep asteroids on my side and away from the middle. So that way when I have my flies doing somersaults and everything around, I'm not having to worry about asteroids. So Chung has the initiative, so you get to place the first asteroid.
Okay. It could be on your side too?
Anywhere you want. Just outside 2 of the perimeter.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is grab probably the next biggest asteroid, because I like smaller asteroids. The smaller asteroids on where I want to be. So I typically, just as a rule of thumb, just put one in the corner. So then as long as I can fly past it, I'm fine.
I like the bigger ones to kind of mess you up a bit.
Right.
So I'm going to put another one right about there.
So then you do have to check 2 away, so you're good there. Yeah. And you have to be at least 1 away from each other.
From 1 end away from each other.
Yeah, so that needs to move a little bit. That one is just okay. Alright,
okay.
Cool.
Sorry.
So now what I'm going to do is see if I can squeeze one into this corner.
Oh, you're trying to keep them away from you, huh?
Yeah, so my strategy is I want them on my side, so once I clear them, I don't have to worry about them anymore. Unless you want to rush me as X-Wings, but typically...
Yeah, but you got four TIEs there, and I'm assuming that the more obstruction in your way, the better for me before you could get to me.
So is that where you want it? Just keep it outside 1?
Yeah. There.
All right. So then what I'm gonna do is put one over here. Keep it out of the way. Okay.
All right.
So we've done asteroids. So the majority of them are on my side. So what I want to do is typically I like doing a box formation of ties. Because that way I can focus fire on one of his ships. So the big thing I see a lot of people miss in X-Wing is you want to focus fire as many of your ships onto a single ship as possible and eliminate it fast. Because then if it sticks around for another turn, it's going to be shooting at you again. You might not have another shot on it, so it could shoot you again, and you have to waste more shots later. So to be honest, if I got all 4 ties on one X-Wing on our first pass, I did a good job. Because if I can kill that one X-Wing, all of a sudden, if he even kills 1 or 2 ties, it's 2 or 3 ties versus 1 X-Wing, which is still a decent fight for me. But if I take off both shields on the X-Wing, but I lose a tie, it's then 2 X-Wings to 3 ties, and I'm in trouble.
Okay, so you mentioned passes, like for each pass, if I get one X-Wing.
I guess so I'm sorry. I meant for the first pass is usually on turn 2 or 3 is when your 2 ships come together.
Okay.
Typically, it's very hard for your ships to fly past somebody else's and not get shot at all.
Okay.
So usually there's always at least one confrontation before the furball happens, where all the ships are flying all over the place.
All right, so you're probably talking about turn 2 or 3.
Yeah, so turn 2 or 3, I want all my ties more or less shooting at the same X-Wing.
Okay.
If at all possible. I mean, sometimes if I can get a range 3 shot, I might take that, or range 1 shot, I might take that instead. But if I can kill off one of your X-Wings, that's a huge benefit to me. If I kill off one of your X-Wings and you don't kill off a tie, I pretty much won the game.
Okay.
Unless you roll really well. So typically what I want to do is try and keep my ties together, because if I do something like, maybe if you switch to the other video. If I do something like this and spread all my ties out, you can focus on one tie at a time, and you bring your whole 50 points to bear on 12 or 13 points.
Gotcha.
And then all of a sudden you just pick me apart piecemeal. Whereas if I keep everybody together, you don't have that option. Plus, then I can bring my whole 50 points to bear on one of your ships.
Okay, in this example, you're going against 2 X-Wings.
Right.
Would it be beneficial to split your tie into 2 groups?
You can, but then you run the risk of, if you split your X-Wings, I only get 2 ties on one X-Wing, 2 ties on another X-Wing, and then it's completely down to luck.
Oh, gotcha.
Because then you have, because I have two attack shots against your 2 evades each time. And you have 1 3 attack shot against one of my 3 evades.
Okay.
So, I mean, we could trade forces. It's either or, but I'm trying to stack the odds in my favor as opposed to a coin flip.
Gotcha.
Which kind of happens when you split up.
All right.
So if you think you're in trouble and you can't do anything else, and you may want to try and see if you can split up the enemy forces. Okay, so now I'm going to start thinking about deployment. I put my first 2 Academy pilots down, since they're pilot skill 1. You have pilot skill 2, so your X-Wings go down next, then my level 3 ties. So I'll put these off to the side. So I have a couple options. So the board, I have the majority of the asteroids on my side. And what I like to do is I like to fly a square formation or keep my ties together, because I want to focus fire. Because like I was talking about, it's very important to try and kill off one ship at a time. So if I can keep my ties together and focus on one target, I'm doing my job right. So ideally, in order to do all the banks and stuff, you want to have a range 1 box to keep your ties in. That way they can bank and not touch each other. So you want to keep them a little spread out, because if you turn, they might touch each other and then you don't get actions, and then that's really bad for ties. So you need to keep them at range 1 from each other and range 1 from the board edge. So, looking at this, I don't think I have a column here because you put asteroids there. No way here. This is tempting, but it might be a little too close for comfort. So my options are, I go on the outside on the right or the outside on the left. This is somewhat tempting, but there is an asteroid there, which I'm thinking on turn 3 or 4 I might need to choreogron onto. So I may not want to deploy over there. So my goal is probably go here and go up the side and try to swing right past this asteroid and use this open area to come around. So I'm going to deploy up to range 1. and barely miss the asteroid. So scoot over just a little bit. And then what I want is this other level 1 be just inside range 1 from the other guy. This way, if like I choose a 2 bank for all my ties, they won't hit each other. Because since it's a square, they'll rotate and contact, and then they'll lose their actions. So if you get a range 1, that's pretty good. So you have a couple options.
Okay.
So if you want, you could go right there. If you want to, get action like this, you just deploy across from me and go head at it. You have another option that you can try, but I think it's going to be too hard to pull off. Is if you come on this side and fly fast and try to keep me in this area, then you're doing better. The
Play
issue
around
is,
the asteroids?
Right, because then there's no way I can maneuver through this. This is pretty much dead man's zone.
Yeah.
However, since you're newer to this, and I've been playing this quite a while now, you're probably going to mess up some of your maneuvers.
That's
so
fine.
you may just want to avoid the asteroids as well. Or stay on that side and kind of creep up.
I think I'm going to do the creep.
So then the other option you have is, do you want to keep both X-Wings together? Do you want to spread them out?
No, I'm going to keep them together, wingman type of thing.
Right, up to range 1. Or another option you have is you can put them at an angle or face that way, since I'm all the way in this other corner.
I'll do one of these.
And check your, are they one away from each other at the edges? If they're just at one, they can both bank and you won't clip each other.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
It'll be close.
Just at one?
Yeah. If you put them right next to each other, you cannot bank at the same speed.
Oh, I see what
or
you're
else you'll
saying.
collide.
So that's a good strategy thing, right?
Yeah. That's what I see a lot of people miss is if you do, let's say, a turn, a 90-degree turn, they'll land in the exact same spot, be facing this way.
Gotcha.
However, if you do a bank, instead, their bases will rotate, and they'll be facing this way and this way. But
Gotcha.
the two edges will contact each other because they'll turn into a diamond, not a square.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So the two diamond tips will hit each other if they're too close. Okay, so he deployed his 2 X-Wings in the opposite corner. So I could take my 2 ties if I really wanted to and deploy them over here. However, that would be playing into his trap, or his strategy where he could rush my 2 ties, and these ties are stranded over here. All of a sudden, he's fighting half of my force with all of his points. So I'll just keep all my ties together and stick with my original plan and put them in the corner. And then hopefully I can maneuver properly and bring to bear on the X-Wings at once. We may not be able to shoot on turn 2 and maybe turn 3. So now, Chung, you have to think about this. So for Rebels, since you have proton torpedoes, this is what will give you the advantage.
Okay.
Your ideal first engagement against me is to have both proton torpedoes go off at range 3 against one of my ties.
Okay.
If we're all at range 3 against each other, you get 4 attack dice with your protons, and you usually get an extra crit. I do not get an extra evade from long range, and then when I fire back, you do get extra evade.
Okay.
So it's a losing situation for me.
If I could keep you at 3.
If our first engagement is at range 3, you have a big advantage.
Gotcha.
However, if I can get within 2, or heck, even 1 on our first engagement, then that's a better advantage for me. Because if I'm within range 1, you don't get to fire your protons. Granted, you get to shoot pretty well anyway. So my job, what I want to do, is have a turn where we land, in essence, just outside range 3 of each other.
Okay.
And then the turn after that, we have to move towards each other. And then
I see.
And we have this really point-blank firefight. Just so you have it in the back of your head. It may be overkill, but I like locking onto the same target and fire 2 protons at it. That will almost guarantee that target dies.
Really?
I've seen a lot of people so many times say, I'll target lock the front tie with one ship and with X-Wing 1, and I'll target lock the other one with X-Wing 2. They shoot 2 protons. They take 2 whole points on this guy, 1 whole point on this guy. No ties die. They all fire back, and an X-Wing might die.
So it's kind of attrition, right? You want to get as much.
Right. The thing is, if you fire 2 protons at the same target, one proton could just literally instant give a tie.
Oh, okay.
And then the other target's wasted. Or one target, or he does 2 hits, and then you're only doing 1 hit with a proton.
Oh, I see.
But I'd rather completely kill off 1 tie and not worry about it anymore, and waste your waste your 2 proton torpedoes.
Gotcha.
Then to try to spread it out, not do enough damage, and then yeah.
And that's it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. This is part 1. Part 2 will be coming soon when I get back from a business trip. So it's going to be about a week and a half before that one gets released. And then after that, we got another BatRep, which is actually using some Wave 3 stuff. So that's it. I hope you learned something. If you're just starting out in this game, it's a fun game. So if you haven't picked up yet, pick it up. This is really cool. So that's it, guys. See you in part 2. And remember, like if you like, sub if you haven't, share what you can, and favorite if you love me. I'll talk to you guys later.